Absolutely.
Frequently asked questions. I have COVID at destination. Now what? So you've contracted COVID. Now what? This could be interesting. Okay. If needing to call for pre-authorization at destination, who do you call, Pam?
Well, you don't call MediQuote. There's not much we can do. We will have provided you with an email that includes a confirmation page. If you have downloaded our phone app, you will have access to a wallet card. If you are in Canada or the US, there will be a toll-free number for you to use to call the claim center. If you're outside of those areas, there will also be a second number, and it will be a collect number so that you're not having to pay for any exorbitant phone fees. But definitely you give the insurance company a call and let them know what's going on with your situation. And you call first whenever possible.
Exactly.
Does the insurance company ship us home by air ambulance if we get COVID?
Yeah, so you know what, the insurance company, what they do is they do whatever the treating medical officer feels is necessary, medically necessary for treatment of your condition. So if you have COVID and the treating medical officer at your destination, the doctor who's treating you, suggests to the insurance company that it would be best to send you back to Canada, even though you have COVID, then that's what the insurance company will do. So we have heard from one of our insurance companies that they have had some situations where the treating medical officer has suggested that they send this person back to Canada. And even though they're COVID positive, they got an air ambulance and they got all the necessary equipment that they would need to transport this person back to Canada and put them in a COVID ward in Canada for treatment. So it is possible, and it has now been done by some of our insurance companies. Okay, our quarantine expenses provided if my spouse or travel companion tests positive for COVID.
Well, it depends on the policy. Now, some policies out there don't have any quarantine benefits, but there are others that do. So again, that's a question you're going to want to ask definitely when you're purchasing. And if quarantine benefits are provided, those benefits are designed to cover some expenses if you test positive for COVID and you do have to quarantine, but you're not hospitalized. They include some money for living expenses as well as food, taxi fares. Again, it does vary between policies.
But they definitely won't be having any companion benefits if you're not on the same insurance company. That's for
No,
sure.
no, correct.
So you want to make sure you're on the same insurance company.
Do these policies require you to pay medical costs upfront and submit claims later?
Yeah, so all of the companies that we represent will guarantee payment to the hospital should you become hospitalized so that you don't have to pay upfront. I mean, obviously, if it's something small and you're just going to see a doctor and it's $100, $150 US, they might ask you to pay for that and they'll reimburse you once the claim documentation has been adjudicated. But for the most part, if it's a significant sum, the insurance companies will send you to a hospital that they have a relationship with and that they have a payment plan with, and then they will guarantee the payment.
Exactly.
Do these policies work for private hospitals? So I guess that means would they provide coverage for private hospitals, Pam?
Well, the insurance company will, when you call them, they are going to recommend a facility that they already have a billing arrangement with. But there isn't the policies that we carry, there isn't a designated hospital that you have to go to. Again, whether or not these private hospitals will work directly with the company, with the insurance company, will be the hospital's choice. So I don't believe they're excluded. You just may have to pay some bills up front. What if I want to go to a specific hospital?
Yeah, so I guess that would be something you'd have to discuss with the insurance company. So if you are in a certain area or in Palm Springs and you know, have a hospital there that you've heard good things about, if the insurance company doesn't have a problem with that, you could probably go there. But it is definitely something you'd have to bring up with them should you require emergency treatment. Okay, what is the cost for an ICU stay for COVID?
Well, I don't have any knowledge. I don't know. I haven't seen any claims when it comes to an ICU stay for COVID. Um, we're not really made aware of what hospital stays are and what
Mhm.
those costs are incurred. I mean, there
Yeah.
there have been incidents of hearsay, and I did speak to a gentleman who knew somebody in the U.S. who said that for a single person you were looking at a cost of at least $1 million. So if that
Wow.
holds true, about $1 million.
But it's pretty much anyone's guess.
Yeah, that's hearsay for sure.
Yeah.
If you contract COVID while away and hospitalization is required that extends beyond the period specified for your insurance coverage, does the insurance coverage end?
Yeah, so even before COVID, there was a special clause in your policies that when, uh, like, if you're hospitalized when your policy expires, that your coverage is automatically extended without additional payment of premium until such a time that you are discharged from hospital. And then it also is extended automatically for an additional 72 hours so that you have time to get home. And all of that is just an automatic extension. It's written into the policy. You don't have to call anyone. You don't have to do anything. And the same goes for COVID. So if while you're away and you're hospitalized, your coverage would extend automatically until your hospitalization is over and for an extra additional time so that you can get home.
Very good.
If you have COVID coverage, are you guaranteed to get into a hospital?
Well, the insurance company will definitely want you to get the medical care you need. Um, I'm assuming we've had this question as to whether a US hospital would deny admission to a Canadian over a US citizen, that type of thing. That's not something we can predict. That decision isn't made by the insurance company. But if you do have coverage and you have COVID coverage, they're definitely going to want to get you into a hospital, um, and it will be up to the hospital to get you admitted.
Yeah, I think that the rule of thumb is there's no guarantees in COVID, in COVID
Exactly.
times.
If you tested positive for COVID, would Canadians be treated as a lower priority next to Americans getting medical care?
Yeah, you know, I think in the US, a paying customer is a paying customer. It's not like in Canada where, you know, if a hospital treats a Canadian, they get coverage or paid, I guess, through the government health insurance plan. And if they don't, then it would be some other, or maybe they wouldn't get paid or whatever. In the US, everyone's a paying customer, and if you've got coverage for emergency medical treatment, then you probably are on a level playing field. And you know, maybe it's even a better case scenario for the hospital that you have private insurance versus someone that had Medicare or Medicaid in the US. I don't know. It's hard to know.
Definitely a hard question.
Mhm. Okay, once discharged from a hospital, is there coverage for return airfare or would that fall under trip interruption coverage?
I definitely for the emergency medical policies, they don't cover airfare costs to come home. They don't cover any flight change fees, anything like that. These policies are designed definitely for your medical care. So if you want that type of coverage, you definitely want to look at a trip interruption policy. That's where that benefit would come into play.
The only time a insurance company would send you home is if they don't, like if they feel like you're too much of a risk to stay at destination, and they want to
Right.
like send you home as part of the like treatment plan, so that if something else should happen, like if you should have a recurrence of the same thing or whatever, that they wouldn't have to pay for that. So that would be the only time they would pay for a return trip home.